In the middle years of the Joseon dynasty, when roads were little more than muddy paths and villages clung quietly to the mountains, an infant was discovered beneath a half-split zakova tree at the edge of a small farming settlement. Rain had fallen without rest for 3 days and nights, turning fields into pools and soaking the earth until even the birds fell silent. It was during the darkest hour before dawn that a poor farming couple heard a thin cry carried by the wind. Following the sound, they found a baby wrapped in silk, far too fine for such a place. Around the child's neck hung a small jade pendant, polished and unbroken, though everything else was soaked in rain. No footprints remained, no cart tracks, no sign of a parent. The couple stood still for a long moment, knowing that taking the child would change their lives forever. They were poor, aging, and childless, yet neither spoke a word. The woman lifted the infant, and as soon as he felt warmth, his crying stopped. That night, they carried him home, lit a small fire, and named him Joseon, a name common and plain, suited to a child of the soil. Joseon grew up knowing hunger and cold, yet never knowing neglect. His clothes were patched again and again, his shoes often missing, yet his parents' eyes followed him wherever he went. In spring he chased frogs along the rice paddies. In summer, he weeded fields under the burning sun, and in winter he slept, curled beside his mother's threadbare quilt. When food was scarce, his bowl was always filled first. When sickness came, his parents stayed awake through the night. Though he never learned to read books, Joseon learned to read silence, to understand when words were withheld out of love. He grew into a quiet boy, steady and thoughtful, known in the village for helping elders without being asked. 16 years passed before fate returned to claim him. One autumn morning, when leaves had just begun to fall, a strange procession entered the village. Horses stepped carefully along the narrow road, followed by servants in clean robes and a palanquin covered in silk. Villagers gathered, whispering. A middle-aged man stepped out, his face heavy with both hope and fear. He announced that he had lost a son many years ago and had traveled far to find him. He described the infant's clothing, the jade pendant, and the place where the child vanished. As his words fell into the air, eyes slowly turned toward Joseon. That evening, officials arrived at the poor couple's house. When the jade pendant was revealed, the man fell to his knees, pressing his forehead to the dirt floor. He declared himself the child's true father, a wealthy merchant of Hanyang, and spoke of a wife who had never recovered from losing their son and had died with his name on her lips. He said the child must return to his rightful place. The poor father listened without speaking, his pipe burning low. The mother clutched Joseon's sleeve, her hands trembling. That night Dolso lay awake, staring at the ceiling beams blackened by smoke. 2 lives stretched before him. One promised warmth, learning, and wealth, yet felt distant and unfamiliar. The other was filled with hunger and labor, yet wrapped in quiet devotion. At dawn, the merchant spoke kindly to the boy, describing schools, silk clothes, and a future free from suffering. He warned that remaining in the village would bind Dolso to endless poverty. The adoptive parents offered no argument. They simply washed Dolso's hands, as they always had, prepared their rough grain meal, and placed his bowl before him first. When the villagers gathered to witness the decision, Dolso knelt before the poor couple and bowed deeply. His voice was calm but heavy. Father, Mother, thank you for finding me when I had nothing. I was hungry here, but I was never abandoned. Tears fell freely, yet the boy continued. My blood calls me now. Even if I leave, I will carry this grace all my life. With that, he stood and walked toward the waiting horses. Some villagers turned away, whispering that the boy had chosen wealth over loyalty. Others watched silently, unsure. Dolso did not look back, not out of coldness, but because his resolve would not survive another glance. In Hanyang, his name was restored, his posture corrected, and his days filled with study. He learned to read and write, to manage accounts and caravans, to speak with confidence before powerful men. Wealth surrounded him, yet warmth did not. His biological father praised results, but rarely affection. Meals were plentiful, but laughter was scarce. As the years passed, Dolso grew into a capable man, respected, but inwardly hollow. When a great famine struck the countryside, news reached Hanyang of villages collapsing under hunger. The man could not sleep. Memories of a small house and a mother filling his bowl first returned unbidden. Without hesitation, he loaded carts with grain and traveled back to the mountain village. The villagers recognized him at once. He knelt in the dirt yard of the old house, calling out, "Father, Mother, I have come." He distributed food, paid overdue taxes, and saved lives. When he offered to bring the elderly couple to Hanyang, they shook their heads gently and said, "This is our home." Standing before them, the man finally wept. In that moment, he understood that blood gives life, but grace shapes the soul. From that year on, he sent grain every season, and the village called him the son of 2 houses. Though the child had chosen wealth, his life was sustained by the love of the poor. And so the people whispered that true parenthood is not decided by who gives birth, but by who never lets you fall.